It has been 2 weeks since I got back home, and thinking about it, there are 5 things that I'm definitely going to do differently next time I travel. I'd like to share them with you, so come and sit with me on my patio, enjoy my garden, enjoy the beautiful day as we catch up. Number 5 is especially a doozy, and I'm almost a little bit embarrassed to tell you about it, but I'll share it with you anyway. So let's have a seat. Welcome back. It's been a while since I sat down and did a bit of an update. I've been home about 2 weeks now, and I've been just trying to catch up with myself. I've done nothing but just like laze around, and then I have these spurts of energy, and then I overdo it and then lay around again. And so it is my real retirement now. The real one. I mean, I've checked the boxes of travel, been there, done that, came back, and now I'm at home. There's a couple of things I would have done totally different during my travel, and then I'm going to change for the future travel. The first thing that comes to my mind is the way I packed. I packed what used to be a carry-on but is no longer eligible for carry-on, so it had to be checked in. So it was a small suitcase, but I still brought it along anyway. And then I brought a backpack with me. Now in the backpack I had my mini iPad, my camera, and a few other technical stuff, and a change of clothes in case my luggage gets lost. That backpack did not weigh much, but going through the airports and looking for your gates and walking from gate 1 to gate 76, that backpack was getting harder and harder and heavier to carry, to the point where my shoulders were hurting. And I swore to myself at one stage, I will never ever travel with a backpack again. So even if you were to bring a carry-on these days, on the smaller planes, the smaller European planes, you might be asked to check it in on the way to the plane. They'll ask you to leave it at the bridge there, and they'll store it for you, and then you can pick it up when you get off the plane. So even if you were thinking of having your carry-on with you in case you need something, so there's not always that guarantee. I went to a thrift store and I found one that is small enough for a backpack, and it had wheels and an extended telescopic handle. And so I'm going to test that out. It's small enough to fit underneath the seat, and I can have easy access to it, and I don't have to carry it on my back. Not only that, on top of that, it does fit on my regular suitcase, which can be kind of like held on with the other telescopic lens. So I'm looking forward to testing that out, which brings me to bringing on a normal suitcase where I can pack all my comforts. I am no longer going to travel with none of my favorite shampoos and cosmetics and so on, thinking that I'm going to buy them there. I used to, but now this trip I particularly did not really have an interest of going to buy the basic shampoo and conditioner and skin cream and so on, because everything is just pricey and expensive, and I already have that at home. So I'm going to obviously put it in a small travel, how they have those silicone tubes and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer them over there, bring what I need, bring what I know it will work for me, because I've had some horrible hair days there. The water is very hard. Even if you do buy the shampoo that you normally and conditioner that you normally use here, the ingredients are not always guaranteed. So nothing really, I've had some horrible unconfident bad hair days for sure. But then again, with a YouTuber, I know that one of the things that's very hard to get used to being a YouTuber is actually looking at yourself, at the way you look, and you just self-criticize yourself. So no more, definitely no more. I'm going to bring my comforts, my usual skincare. Now, number 3, be yourself. Not every site is worth seeing, or you have to stand in line. And I'm not a museum person. That can be enjoyable, but I'm not going to go out of my way to go to a museum and stand in line for a long time. However, that doesn't mean you can miss out, or to miss out on your favorite, on the most, what am I trying to say, on the most iconic sites that are known for their destination that you're going to. By all means, go ahead and see it. And a little bit of standing in a crowd is not that bad. It's getting really busy, crowded, loud. And the other thing, I'm not a foodie, so I'm not going to pretend I'm a foodie and, go to a restaurant and film the menu and order the meal and take the meal. That's wonderful. Some people can do it, and I love looking at that. But I'm not a foodie. I'm a supermarket girl. I'm a sandwich girl. I'm like eating in the park. Every now and then I would go and have a nice meal, but I'm very not talented in describing it or telling you what it tastes like, or especially shoving food in my mouth on the camera. Oh, I don't know. I don't like that. The average meal, at least where I was, it didn't start off to like 20 euros and up. And the food was just like, there was a lot of food, a big amount of food. So I wasn't really into that. And I don't like sitting in a restaurant by myself. In some restaurants, I don't mind, and I did that in various countries, but I did not come across any restaurants this time on this trip where I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a sit down and film some kind of a menu or film some local food. So anyway, that is what my conclusion is. I'm just going to be who I am at home, just be myself, and just because I'm in a different destination, I don't have to act differently. So I'm just gonna, if I want to eat a sandwich, I'll eat a sandwich in the park. And the European supermarket, especially in Germany and of course in Slovenia, they had some amazing like sections where you can go and get lunch and get some salads, delicious salads, healthy salads with good decent portions for under €5, and that will include a drink and maybe a piece of a fruit or a sweet. So yes, be yourself, bring your little compass with you. Oops, I dropped my paper. Oh, it's flying away. I'm sitting here in my garden. It's so beautiful. The sun's out, the birds flying. So that was my point number 3. Number 4, I had the toughest one. That was, I think it was the most challenging for me, is to master any technology beforehand, before you bring it on your trip. And I'm talking about the camera that I specifically bought, which I do have regrets now. Don't get me wrong, it's a wonderful camera. As soon as I master it, I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. But I am finding it very complex. I found my DJI Mini Osmo Pocket 3. As much as I was excited about it, and I know there's a few YouTube videos that I showed you how excited I was about it and how much how I saved and finally bought it and how excited I was, but it's still kicking my butt. There were times when I reached out for it and it was just doing weird things. It didn't want to focus. It was slanted. It was like up. It was down. I had to take, YouTube courses while I was there and try to figure out why it's doing that. So I kept on reaching out for my cell phone, my iPhone camera. It was there quick and easy, and I got what I needed right there on the spot. If I had to zoom in, it allowed me to do that. But I still do see a big difference between the cell phone and this, what I'm using right now, the DJI Osmo. The DJI Osmo is so clear and the clarity is wonderful. Camera, iPhone can do that as well, but I like the quality of this camera that I'm on right now. And so that kind of like, it can get you in some kind of a funky mood if you're constantly trying to figure out your, like how to get good shots and your camera's not cooperating and the moment's passed. There was one point I was just like, almost to the point of being depressed because I was just like not happy with it, not doing what it needed. But anyway, halfway through, I figured it out what I was doing. But by this time, I've already left the places and, the moments have gone and so on. And there is this one guy, his name is Suitcase Monkey. Please take a look at him. He filmed everything on his iPhone and it is fantastic cinematography. And that's all with the iPhone, but his editing is amazing. So check him out. He's got some wonderful videos. Suitcase Monkey. At the end of the day, I ended up with so much footage. One was on the phone, the other one I was on the DJI, and then I had my mini iPad that I hooked up to download all my footage for the day. And then I also downloaded from the iPhone, and it just got complex and it was a mess. So I had scattered footage and it was sometimes overwhelming trying to edit. So this trip was intended to be a minimalist, to travel minimally. So I just had my iPhone, and then I had my iPad mini, and then of course this camera here, DJI. Another thing that I noticed when I was using my camera as opposed to the iPhone, I seem to have caught attention to more people than when I did not use my camera. It was obvious that I was filming, and when you're a new YouTuber, you might not have the confidence of filming in public. So it made me, now looking through my footage, when I was conscious of filming, I noticed it was rushed. The footage was rushed. For example, in my outdoor market in Serbia, I was the center of attention when I pulled my camera out, and everybody is like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you a reporter? Hindsight now, looking at, I could be wrong, but I believe because there was some elections over there, and one party is kind of like filming the other party when there's like voting and so on. Don't quote me on this, but I think people were very skeptical about being filmed or being on camera. I did not realize that until later on. So not every country, depends what's going on. It might not be a good idea to, just flat out pull out a digital camera and walk around and trying to film. Now, when you're doing that with your iPhone, because everybody is doing it, not a lot of people pay attention to it. Everybody's filming, taking selfies these days, especially in the bigger towns. So I had no issues there, but in the smaller towns, yes, I did attract attention. And, at one point I was even asked, what are you doing? Stop filming, please leave, which I respected. Not sure why that was, but I'm not going to question it. I'm a guest in their country, so leave, thank you. Anyway, so that was number 4. Get used to your digital technology, be comfortable with it, and just focus on getting some great shots and not be, overwhelmed with just too much junk at the end, and then you're trying to put it together and make a video out of it. Number 5, don't get caught up in a rush. Don't be the first person trying to get off the plane. Don't even try to be the normal middle person, or it's your turn. I found out now that I'm not rushing to get back anywhere. There's no job waiting for me. I'm retired. I have all the time in the world. When the plane landed, I just sat back, let everybody stand in aisles, hit their heads while trying to get their luggage and everything. And as the plane slowly emptied, I took my time. I looked around and made sure that I have everything. Because I got to tell you a story. I didn't mention it then. When I landed in Munich, I got off the plane and then I went to sit down somewhere in the terminal, and my watch alerted me it says iPad left behind. And when I saw that, I could not believe my eyes. It's like, no, that's got to be wrong. I have my iPad here. And I looked in my backpack, no iPad anywhere. So I panicked and got to Munich very early in the morning, and there was really not many people around. I walked around a little bit and I found customer service and I told them what happened, and it took me about good 20 minutes for them to figure out what plane I was on, what flight number. And by this time, where I walked from the terminal, it was quite a hike. By the grace of God, they managed to get a hold of somebody that the plane was on the tarmac. And then because I was connected to my phone, to my iPad, it was showing exactly where it was. So I was told to go back to the gate and go all the way up to some area there that they should be waiting for me with my iPad, that they found it. Anyway, I get to a certain point and I knew there's no way I'm going to get in there because I don't have a boarding pass. And I tried and I was stopped. One of the ladies, she was an elderly lady, her uniform just reminded me of so military regimental. She had this buzz haircut as well, and she was very stern with me. Halt, where are you going? And I said, look, customer service just told me to come here, to go past these gates, and obviously I don't have a boarding pass. She goes, what do you need, and everything. Anyway, it took another 10-15 minutes to explain to her what's going on. She calls over to customer service. They verify it. At this point, there's no passengers around. It's just me bordering the gate. Not the gate, even, the security checkpoint, 3 or 4 people with her on the other side, me on the other side. I was pointed in the direction to go sit at the chair there. And so I sat there for about 15 minutes, and there's some commotion going on. And she's kind of giving instructions to somebody. That somebody disappears for about 15 minutes, comes back, and they say, we have your iPad. And I caught a sight of what I thought was my iPad, and it was not my iPad. Yes, it was black when I described it. It had a black cover, but it was not an iPad mini. It was a regular iPad. I said, that is not my iPad. She goes, well, that's what we found. You want it? And it's like, what? It's not my iPad. And the crazy thing is, for a split second when they said, do you want it? I thought about it. But I'm sorry for laughing, it doesn't make sense. I said, that is not my iPad. She goes, well, that's all we have. I said, no. And I pulled out my phone and there was a blue, like a blue dot explaining where. I said, look, take my phone, this is where my iPad is. It's about right there, it will lead me to this on one of these planes. She rolled her eyes and she said, sit down again. But this time I burst into tears. I burst into tears, but I was hiding. I didn't want them to see it, but tears were just streaming down, so I was wiping my tears. And when they saw that, they all went silent and quiet. And next thing you know, they're scattering and there's only her left, and everybody else kind of disappeared. Do you know my iPad showed up within 3 minutes? Yeah, it did. I was so relieved. And then I sat down and I just felt so stupid and silly. It's like, how could I have done that? I was being very careful, made sure that I had everything with me. But what happened is when I went to sleep on the plane, it was very dark and I had my tray out, and then I connected my phone and my iPad to charge while I'm sleeping. Anyway, when I woke up, my iPad must have fallen behind my chair. And it didn't occur to me, I don't know why, I just packed up my iPhone and call it a senior moment. I'm embarrassed to even tell you this story. Call it a senior moment, but it didn't occur to me to check my iPad. I don't know why. Anyway, I gathered everything, and then my iPad fell behind the side of the seat and underneath the seat. So even though I was looking around, I thought I had everything. Anyway, the lesson that I learned is take your time, be mindful, don't get caught up, don't rush to get off the plane like everybody else. Stop, regroup, think about, next time I put my iPhone out and my iPad to charge, remember that. Again, I was one of the lucky ones where, if I had a assigned gate, it would definitely be once I get off the escalator, I would get off on gate 1, but my gate would be 76. And then when I do get to 75, 76 is non-existent. Anyway, it turns out you go down the stairs and there's 2 split gates there, then you'll have the 76A and 76B gate, but that's what happened. And what was the point? Where was I going with this? Oh, that's right, yeah. So yes, of course, gate 1 to gate 76, get off the plane, luggage collection. It was probably a 3-mile walk in Frankfurt, and to Terminal 1, and then you walk in the door and there's like 9 carousels. But when you walk in the door, carousel 1, and mine was again 3 miles down to number 9. I thought, this is going to be a joke. This is a test. I'm being tested. And anyway, got my luggage. Now back to carousel 1, and then another 2-mile walk to I'm sorry, forgive me for not pronouncing this, but it was the train station. And one of the escalator was broken, so I had to like hold my luggage and go down the stairs. By this time I was exhausted and I just wanted to get on that train, and it was just so busy, and so everything was just happening so fast. Trains coming and going, people going. Found a machine, and even though it was in English, some of it was translated word by word, and I quite didn't, for some reason, whether it was just me, but it didn't make sense. Some kind of a logic didn't make sense to, like, I think you had the choice of like, oh, forgive me, I don't remember right now, but the choice was like, none of them applied to me. Anyway, there was a lady that was kind enough to help me with that, and I ended up getting my tickets. Whether I got the right one or not, but I got it. So, and then I was lucky enough, one of the another lady spotted me. She was from Dublin, and she was also caught up in the pilot strike that it just derailed everybody with their plans and connections, which, by the way, my connection was in Frankfurt from Ljubljana. I just had to do a 2-hour layover, but from Ljubljana to Frankfurt, that was the flight that was cancelled, and I was giving like 3 days notice it was cancelled. And they said, no worries, we'll find you another flight. But all this was like in text messages and so on. My last text message from them was, sorry, we can't find a flight on your own. Do you want to cancel your whole trip? It's like, no, I want to go home. So I could not get a hold of Lufthansa Airlines. Nobody was answering there. And when I did get on hold, I was on hold for 90 minutes. Finally, just got disconnected after 90 minutes. So I was back to square one. So I've gone ahead and went to United Airlines and just paid for my own ticket from Ljubljana to Frankfurt, which later I was reimbursed by United Airlines. They gave me credit for it. So I met another lady who was kind of my age and kind of reminded me of, we reminded each other of each other, like we had the same things going on. So we sat together and we figured out the whole thing, where to get off and which train station. She was on her way to Berlin, and I stopped off and got off the main central station, and then from that video you can see what happened next. So yeah, take your time, especially if your first time, you're new in that country, and everything is just, even though you think you're logically going to figure it out, but there's a few elements where it could just add up and suddenly you're none the wiser and you just can't figure out a simple ticket. Be aware of your surroundings. Don't get caught up too much or engulfed in what you're trying to figure it out, because you are always being watched by somebody, whether you may know it or not, but there's always somebody that will be, you know, like measuring you out or assessing you. I actually do have one footage. When I was making that video in Frankfurt, I was doing the roof shot of the train station. I didn't realize it till I played it back later. There were two men in the background talking. I could not understand it, but I did do a Google Translate to pick up the voice, and they were talking about my camera. And they were saying, is that a camera? And then something else. Google could not pick up the translation. So obviously, you know, I was caught their attention with my camera again, not the cell phone, but the DJI. Okay, Mr. Crow, we get you. So I didn't realize that till I watched the footage later on when I was editing, but I did leave that out of my my other video that I did. My bottom line to that is I'm always have to be, you know, aware that I am single, elderly, female. I definitely look like a tourist no matter what. You know, they know better to spot tourists no matter how you dress. You will always stand out as a tourist. And train stations specifically are notorious, not only in Frankfurt, but any city really. Train stations are just busy, and there's always, especially in Europe, you have certain groups and what's going on? Populations. There's somebody out there playing, looking for baby turtles. That's cute. They're with their dad. So yeah, you will always look like a tourist. Just be aware of that, and be aware of your surroundings and your safety, and take your time, read the signs, take breaks, and so on. Anyway, those are my 5 things that I would definitely do differently. Now that I'm back home, I do have another trip planned at the end of this year for Christmas, but anything could change between then, so we hope for the best. What am I going to do now? Well, when I came home, my garden was just so overgrown, so I did a 6-hour marathon of gardening, and boy, did I not move the next day. I paid for it, which reminds me, be ready to walk in Europe. There's so much walking, which I love, but there are days when I just overdid it, so pace yourself. But overall, it was a great trip. I'm very lucky to have spent it with Sis. 4 weeks in her house, so that was free accommodation, of course, and then the rest of the accommodation was, yeah, could be better, but it is what it is. I had a great time. So that will wrap up my video. If you like this video, check out my other ones that I just had from coming from Europe, and I will see you in the next one.